Velgrmon captures TK, the partner Digimon are in the network world, Angemon appears, and Skullknightmon steals TK's Digi-Egg. These are the headlines coming out of this week's episode of Digimon titled The Seventh One Awakens. So let's look at the good, the bad, and the straight up ugly from this week's episode of Digimon Adventure 2020. Before I start the review, guys, please do make sure to subscribe if you guys do enjoy our content. We are working on massive project videos coming up. That's why we haven't uploaded anything during the week. The Kizuna review is one of those big projects that we're doing. It's going to be a massive in-depth review. So please guys, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified when that big boy video is released. Believe me guys, you are going to love that review. But let's talk about the good in this episode. And this episode had plenty of good. It was basically those all action episodes, and those episodes have been good in this series. And this episode is no different. TK gets captured by Velgemon right at the start of the episode when the test tube he was in breaks. Velgemon gets annihilated within this dark sphere created by Velgrmon, demonstrating the monstrous power that Velgrmon has. Megadramon, one of Machinedramon's soldiers back in the original adventure, makes a return and is fighting Leomon, whilst Metalgreymon and Velgrmon are chasing Velgrmon. Meanwhile, in the middle of all that madness going on, we go back to the other Digidestined. Izzy is trying to contact Tai, and it's confirmed by Izzy that it's been 3 days since they have been away. Whilst Izzy and Sora were talking, Sora mentions that her mum was giving her an earful when she came home, as any normal parent would if their kid has disappeared for 3 days straight. She asked Izzy what about his parents, did they say anything? Izzy hesitates. Are we going to see the adopted storyline again? Because he is shaken. This caught him by surprise. I would like to know how they will do it this time, if we're assuming he is adopted of course. But he said home is, and then he stops. He didn't mention his foster parents or anything. Could he be living in a troubled home this time? Because last time, even though his parents admitted that he was adopted, his family was still quite happy, but maybe this time that is not the case. I'm really interested how they handle this because the original, it was done so well, and I hope they do it justice. Tentamon contacts Izzy, getting his mind off whatever it is that's troubling him, and all the other partner Digimon are in the network world. But now that I think about it, when we first met Angemon in this series, he was also in the network world. How did they end up in the network world? And how did Angemon end up there in those early episodes? Could the network world be a safe haven for all the good Digimon to rest in? And the evil Digimon are trying to enter the network world to do damage to the networks of the other worlds, like how the real world is getting affected by it. Did Devimon just recently discover about the network world and is trying to use it for his own benefit after discovering that all the good Digimon have been using it like a hideout or a way to protect the data of other worlds? Guys, comment down below what you guys think. I don't believe the only role of the network world is to be a link to the other worlds. I think there's something more to it. Again guys, if you lot got any theories, comment down below on what you guys think the network world will be and what its role will be during the story. Izzy says there are now network problems all over the world. So is this a foreshadowing for the appearances of the international Digidestined? Will we be seeing guys like Michael and Willis in Digimon 2020? For me, the Digimon Adventure 02 World Tour episodes are some of the best episodes in the Digimon series, so I wouldn't mind something similar like that happening again. And Christmas is only a couple months away, so you never know, we might get another special like that happening. Tai and his team are chasing Velgrmon, and one of the coolest action scenes so far in this series is when Metalgreymon unleashed his Giga Destroyer whilst having Velgrmon ride it like a snowboard, dodging the dark feathers that Velgrmon is using against them. He then used his Kaiser Nail to disable Velgrmon for a bit, which allowed Metalgreymon to use his trident arm for Matt to jump to TK and rescue him with. The teamwork displayed here is excellent. Both Tai and Matt are in complete sync. I truly believe that these characters will not be fighting each other as much, if at all really, in this series. I don't think it will be anything like the original adventure storyline where they go all out and fight each other after every disagreement. I like it. Let the original have that version of their friendship, whilst here there is a camaraderie and they both allow the other to lead and give orders, like how Tai was following Matt's orders in episode 8 and here Tai was telling him not to screw up, so they both don't mind taking orders from the other characters, which shows immense maturity within these characters. Matt jumps into the sphere where TK is held, but a dark energy is shocking him whilst he's trying to reach him. Velgrmon is his shield protecting him from Velgrmon. Matt is trying to reach TK, they're both trying to reach one another, but the force field isn't allowing Matt to reach TK, and the dark shackles aren't allowing TK to reach his older brother. This scene reminds me of the Cave of Darkness back in the original. It was like when Matt and Joe were trying to get Sora out of the Cave of Darkness. Matt himself was held captive in the cave. Velgrmon possesses power over darkness, so it makes sense that TK is shrouded in darkness and the darkness itself isn't allowing him to reach his older brother. Matt finally pulls TK from his shackles. As he's doing so, it looks like our old friend is also being released from his shackles. The hand of fate is coming. Gigastorm and Kaiser Nail still do nothing against Velgrmon. Velgrmon used his red laser coming out of his tail to push back both the ultimate Digimon. Velgrmon is using that deadly attack that killed Velgemon at the beginning of the episode on the team, capturing TK once again. But TK has had enough. He turns around. As he's getting more brave, Angemon is getting stronger and is slowly starting to break out of his chains. TK loses it. We see a white tornado being released coming from the depths of hell. An angel is released to revive everyone out of their wounds and injuries and to save the day. It reminded me of Lugia in Pokemon Movie 2000. Whenever Lugia would make an entrance, a whirlpool tornado is released from the deepest depths of the ocean, and when he comes out of it, a heavenly light is released, giving all the characters hope. Angemon's entire entrance in this episode really reminded me of Lugia in that film, and it brought more elements of that film as well. In that film, Melody used Lugia's song to revive Lugia and the legendary birds. Here, Angemon's light revived Tai, Matt and their ultimate Digimon, making them stronger in the process. The wings start to lower, we see our Angel of Hope. For a second there, I thought we were going to see Magna Angemon, but that's for a later time, I'm sure. I find it so funny how Velgrmon just drops as soon as Angemon appeared. He literally just fell. I found that quite jokes. It was like he was allergic to Angemon or something. Angemon gives TK the Digivice with his crest shining within it, making him the 7th Digidestined so far. Angemon's light is giving the ultimate Digimon more power. The Giga Storm and Kaiser Nail even had feathers within their attacks. That was a nice touch. Angemon didn't need to attack, just him making them stronger and with his feathers in their attacks. It's like he was attacking as well. Angemon becomes a Digi-Egg, just like in the original when he made his debut back then. Just as we have this emotional moment with TK and Angemon, as well as Angemon dying, making him return to his Digi-Egg. As the Digi-Egg is falling to TK's arms, Skullknightmon appears like an RKO out of nowhere and snatches that Digi-Egg from TK. That's so messed up. Just as we get Angemon, he gets taken away. So you've unintentionally ended up in this suit's form to steep into darkness. Now, return to me. Could this version of Devimon be the Cell of Digimon? Cell was one of the main villains in Dragon Ball Z. He was an android who needed to capture the other androids to achieve his perfect form. Could this be what Devimon wants? He says, "Return to me," as if Angemon belongs with the devil. I'll elaborate more in a future theory video, hopefully releasing very soon, discussing what is Devimon's plan, so stay tuned for that. Overall, this was a good episode. The action episodes never fail in Digimon 2020. They have always been good, and you can tell if it's going to be a full action episode if the episode straight away starts off with non-stop action. Again, stay tuned for future videos. If you guys like this review, please give it a thumbs up, and as always, care for nothing.